All right, welcome. I hope this is live. I did not schedule it today. I'm going live right when I sign on, so I won't know. I'm going to give it a minute for you guys to show up, make sure it's on. This is all signs. We're looking at the biggest shift this week because we have a lot going on this week. All right, so let's see. Maybe I need to make it public. Let's see, make sure you guys are here. I am live. All right. So I don't know if you guys can see this yet. This is all signs, April 15th through the 19th, because this weekend, oh, I'm dropping my cards. I guess I'm not using these cards. I'm using a different deck today. All right. This is going to be a big week for us. There's a lot of energy, and this weekend is going to be really big. So I'm expecting a lot of shifts for each zodiac sign. And with that being said, I'm going to look at today to Sunday and see what the biggest shift is in your life. All right, let's see. I want to make sure I am on here. It does look like I'm live. Let me take this out. I don't like doing things so differently because I never know what's really going on. All right, let's see. All right. So hopefully you guys will get the notifications and you guys will be here. And I'll see you guys. But I am going to get started at 2:22 for Aries. And let's get going with this. We're going to look at Aries for this week. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds. All right, Aries, Aries, Aries. All right, yes, you guys got it. I get nervous when I do things differently. I'm like, oh no. So it's supposed to help with my analytics because the way I was doing it before, there was something off. So I'm giving something a different try. Thanks for being here. All right, Aries. What is the biggest shift this week in energy? Let's see what's going on, what to expect this week. You may be feeling restless this week because of all this energy, especially by Thursday or Friday. The weekend's going to bring some extra tension for you. You may feel a little bit frustrated, right? Or just need a break from people, break from life. But let's see what's coming in. Look at this, a love. So I'm seeing this weekend too, especially, there could be a huge shift in love, right? Maybe a conversation around what we truly desire, what we truly want, what we need. So somebody could be coming into your life this weekend, or the person that you're in love with. And you want to make sure you're on the same page. Sometimes desire takes over. And with all this fire energy, of course, our passion can take over, right? But it looks like maybe we need to have a conversation, something we can't avoid any longer. So you may be clearing the air this weekend with somebody, and it could be starting up. So I will say that right now, maybe there is some frustrations you're dealing with a lover, somebody in your life, right? Talking about the future. And, it seems like in the moment we get caught up, and we get caught up in triggers too. So it can go either way for you. But by the end of the weekend, it feels as though there's no more questioning. The truth will arrive, and you may see things differently with your person or partner. And the Lover's card too, for some of you who are single, maybe you're feeling some tension right now with somebody. You are interested in somebody, and you're going to receive some sort of truth or clarity around that by the weekend. So your current energy, King of Swords, you may be dealing with an air sign, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. Does seem to be something shifting with the person with these qualities in your life. And this is bringing up clarification and truth, everything I just said, and detaching a little bit from your emotions. Some of you may be feeling like somebody has withdrawn from you, or should you detach, withdraw from somebody? All right. But this is where the King is showing up to say, we're going to have clarity here. All right. So let's see what your biggest challenge is right now. The Page of Wands. All right. Impulsivity, recklessness, restlessness. I feel like I already gave you your message, Aries. The biggest shift here is knowing where you stand with a relationship. Are you playing around? Is this just fun? Is this going to go anywhere? You know, it seems like, you know, sometimes somebody comes in and things get excited, right? So I will give a little bit of a warning. If this is somebody that is a Page of Wands that you have challenges with, the passion's there, you know, you want it, you want each other, you know, we flirt, but they're just sort of a friends with benefits, or it just seems like, you know, that's all we want is just the connection, passionate sexual energy, right? This is where we're having a clear conversation this week, and you're going to know where you stand in a relationship. All right. So passion can take over, and it's hard to ignore somebody like this, but it looks like it's somebody that keeps their emotions at bay, right? And they're not always opening up and expressing themselves. But when they want something from you, obviously their energy, they're very pulled towards you, very drawn towards you. But it seems like you're wanting more, and that's the challenge here. Is not getting pulled in this weekend with, or this week right now, with the desire, like you just want it no matter what, because you may get the same thing again, same pattern again. All right, so what is shifting with them, and what's their challenge? I see the Emperor. All right, so what's shifting with your person is they are seeing you differently. They are seeing potential. They are wanting to build something. Aries, your energy is all over here. So I'm telling you, you got a lot of energy right now, but you're magnetic, right? So it does look like somebody wants to step up and, be more accountable, show up for you. Your presence is demanding for somebody. And it also is telling me that maybe you need to be more demanding. This is one of these energies where it's saying you've got to take control here. I'm often telling fire signs like, hey, sometimes you got to tone it down a little bit because people are really sensitive right now. But right now it's like Aries, it feels like you're being called to, speak your piece, right? Get things going. So very positive shift with you when it comes to love. It looks like somebody could be stepping up to the plate for you. And, you're building something here, making plans with somebody, talking about the future, not just about tonight, at 2:00 in the morning. All right. So what is their biggest challenge? And then let's see how this week could play out. Their biggest challenge is your person gets overwhelmed. All right. When things get too overwhelming, too intense with you, or too emotional, your person pulls back, right? They need a break. So it's like your person has a meter, right? When they focus on one thing, they focus on it fully, the King of Swords. But when they're focused, or they feel drained from a situation, or just need time alone, they tend to retreat and reset. They need a reset. And your fire energy, you're like that too. You burn, you come in, and then you need a break, right? So it seems like maybe your breaks are just at the wrong time, and it could stress you out. But your person's not pulling away because they're not interested. They're pulling away because they're overwhelmed, or just they need space, guys, just space, right? And I vibe with that, but I don't think this person wants you to go anywhere. All right, so let's see. The biggest move this week is the Page of Cups. All right, so this week, this is where your person here could actually open up emotionally and express how they feel. So it looks like your relationship is going to develop, move. This is my I love you, or my, I really care about you. Like, I want something more here type of energy between you and your partner, all right, or you and a person on your mind. Now, again, you have a lot of pages. You have people coming in this week, Aries. So for those of you that don't have anybody on your mind, I'm going to tell you that there is something growing, something shifting when it comes to your life. And it does look like you need to step up and stop playing with kids, and you need to play with the chief. You need to get with the bosses. You need to pick your partners, with what it is you truly want, not try to, you don't want to parent somebody because you got some pages showing up here. All right. But I do see opportunities coming in. Now, for life in general, Aries, this energy right now is telling you to step into your power. Bottom line, take charge. You could get so many things initiated right now, and you could really get things going for the rest of the year. This is your reset, your recharge. Happy birthday. All right. I love you guys. Happy birthday. All right. Let's see. So Taurus, we're going to move into Taurus. Let me see. I'm trying to do things differently so I can stay set up here. 10. All right. Taurus. You guys like that? All right. You like that energy? I'm telling you, this Mars energy. Taurus. Taurus, Taurus, Taurus. You are just something else right now. People aren't loving on you. You know, you got Venus there. You got, some of you with Taurus, Venus. Come on, work it. All right. I don't care. Taurus is the whole package. I say this all the time. All right. You ever see sometimes you see these like people that you're like, how the hell did they get them? You're like, what's going on? Right. There's just something about that person, the way they carry themselves. They can have anybody they want. Right. To me, that's the Taurus. It feels like you just reek of sensuality, right? And it's a generalized statement, but every Taurus I've known, it just doesn't matter. All right. So you got cards flying for you. I have the Hierophant and I have the Nine of Wands for you. All right, it's time for you to break out of being contained. All right. You have your energy here, the Hierophant, which tells me that, you have to have things a certain way, right? You like to have things scheduled. You like to have things like, this is what I believe. It has to be like this, right? Everything, no, but this is not happening for you right now. And this is going to be stressing you out because all this Aries energy with this fire is saying, you got to break out of that rigidness. You got to break out of those beliefs that you think are true because, this is where, you're being challenged. I see you are being challenged. All right. And because Uranus is also here with you in Taurus, expect unexpected shifts that may stress you out, right? You are showing up and it's looking, I see the finger up like, hey, I got the answers. It's right. Nope. It's not working for me, but let it work for you. Trust somebody who's around you right now. You're getting ready to go into your season, which means that you're closing up a chapter this past year, right? So this past month, this Aries season is usually a time for you to reset, recoup, right? You've leveled up this past year. You're kind of getting ready for your next on stage, right? So you're kind of wrapping things up that no longer serve you. And that's the biggest shift right now is this is kind of a, it's hard because it should be kind of quiet for you. It should be like a rest and relaxation. Like, but with all this Aries energy, I feel like it's stressing you out maybe a little bit because you are feeling maybe some pressure. All right. So, and then this weekend we're moving into your energy, right? So happy birthday to whoever's born on Sunday, Tauruses. All right. So this is where you might start to feel a new start, even in love. All right. And this is where I want you to be open to unexpected shifts. I want you to be open to even the person on your mind showing up for you, because Uranus is like what you think to be true. It's the opposite, or it's not even the opposite. It's something random that you couldn't even have thought about. All right. So that's what I'm seeing, Taurus. You might be like, nope, I'm convicted. I know the truth, but and then all of a sudden you're like, what the hell was that? All right. So I'm hoping this week really does turn out like that for you. All right, so let's see. We got the Emperor here, also Aries energy, maybe a masculine energy coming your way. All right, somebody here wanting to get the show on the road. All right, this could also even be in life too. This is like you have to get things together. It is time for you to take charge and get ready, get prepared for whatever's coming your way. What's your biggest challenge right now? The Queen of Wands. It looks like a partnership here. Are you dealing with somebody that you bump heads with, right? There's some ego here. There's some struggle. I do see a commitment forming for you. All right. So welcome to, you guys all like wanting a relationship. You're wanting something to form in your life, or you're wanting to keep a relationship. Well, it comes with its own pack of problems. And it looks like you and another person, you really look like a power couple. Like you could really make it happen. All right, but maybe you're feeling confused or a little bit uncertain about your partner. There could be some restless energy here showing up. And this is the Nine of Wands. Don't give up. Don't give up with your partner right now. It seems like both of you guys are kind of carrying a lot of weight, and you may mirror each other in a lot of ways. This is a spiritual connection I'm feeling, but I do feel like you both kind of want to be in charge. You guys may, if one person wants one thing, the other person has to argue. It's like, you know, can't we just agree here? You know, but you have two strong personalities showing up for you. But I am seeing leveling up in a relationship. So love is really strong for you right now. You know, this is going to plant the seeds for the next, you know, next year for you too. So you and another partner, you might be, or a person might be showing up in your life. I'm seeing a lot of fire, Aries, Leo, Sag for you, maybe even another Taurus. Your person can be very spicy, very impulsive, very active, very much, you know, the way I want things, but you're also the same way. So this is where we have to compromise, because you have two people. Now we're making plans for the next year. So there could be another conversation coming in for you this week. And if this doesn't work for you, if your person is not ready to make a plan for the year, you know, it seems as though the Nine of Wands is saying your biggest challenge is, do I give up on this shit? You know, because this is a contrast, Taurus. You're either going to know this is your person and we're on the same friggin' page. We might bump heads. We might struggle. We might get mad at each other. I wouldn't want to see you guys as arguments, right? If you guys were to explode, because the passion is there. The intensity is there, right? But it does seem like your biggest shift is happening this week. And it's looking like if we can't get along and grow, we're both going to be like giving up on this situation in some way. But the good news is you'll be ready for it, because the Emperor is here for you. You'll be ready for it. Most likely you and your person are going to be, you know, kind of looking at or even talking about plans for the year. You might start to share dreams about something new. So expect, this is where I'm telling you, with the Uranus for you, Taurus, where you think you know it, you think you got it, right? I'm manifesting this for you, but your person going to show up with something that is so different from even what you expected. And it might be like, you know, hey, what do you think about this? What if would you ever do something like this? All right. So you're making some serious moves, serious plays here. And around love, there could be a lot of surprises for you around love. So let's look at your person real quick. I see the Six of Wands. They want this. They want you. They want to see things move forward. So if you've been dealing with some pressure, tension, a lot of fire here, and you just feel like you guys can't keep bumping heads, you guys have the power to make this work. If there's anybody that can make this work, it's you and your person this week. I am seeing you guys moving forward here, and maybe even stepping up. Some of you could declare a new relationship status with this energy that's showing up. All right. But go back to the beginning here too, because all this sounds good, but we have to go back to the beginning, you know, with you and your rigid beliefs at times, right? What's your person's biggest challenge? The Five of Swords. You know, maybe sometimes they always want to argue. They always want to disagree, or they may tend to, you know, confuse you or give you mixed messages, right? You have the Five of Swords, which says it just feels like your person wants everything in order. They get overwhelmed, or, you know, they start questioning everything. And also for some of you, it just seems like they always have to challenge you or one up you, right? They always have to be correct. All right. You are dealing with a very strong, opinionated person, right? And so they always want to win. Maybe your game this week is to just be like, use your sensuality. You know what? You think you're winning, but you're not winning, right? So you have the power here with the Emperor here on your side, whether you're male or female, it does not matter. You have the influence here. If your person can't seem to get their shit straight or their head straight, right? Or they're always wanting to question everything, you know, this is where you just kind of agree to disagree. See you later. I got this. We're moving forward. But you are dealing with somebody that gets in their head a lot. So this week, expect, you know, the Two of Pentacles. You are making some sort of plan this week moving forward. Now, this is asking you to be flexible and adapt to the situation. You may have to lose a couple battles, but you're not really losing. Remember that. You know, if your person seems confused, don't question it. Just, you know, sometimes their mind, you know, this person is moving forward. It looks like, you know, you're just going to have have to work with the energy and have mutual understanding, because the two of you seem to go at it and can easily go at it, or you take turns. Who's going to win what, or who's doing what, right? So that's what I got for you, Taurus. You got a really strong week here. I'm not going to go any further because I feel like there's so much fire coming through me. All right, let's see. We are moving on to Gemini. Gemini, Gemini, Gemini. All right, Gemini. We're looking at the biggest shift this week. And, you know, Gemini, let me put the comments on here. Gemini, Gemini, you know, this fire is going to make you, your mind, your mouth. Just be aware. All right. I love you, Gemini. All right. But very direct energy this week with this fire, Aries, right? And we're talking about like unfiltered, right? So, you know, make sure you know what you want to say before you say it. All right. Because this, you know, things could escalate. Things could definitely escalate. Your energy, especially, you could find yourself talking super fast like I am today. You know, you could be stressing out. The 9 of Swords. You might regret something you say. You might overreact to a situation. You know, it doesn't have to be this bad, right? But you might tell somebody to F off at work, get the hell out. You might walk out of work. You might get sick of the people around you because your mind moves so fast and you're one of the most brilliant signs, right? But on top of this, right? So I always give you the warning. I always give you the warning first, right? Because I'm just somebody like that. I'm very cautious, right? But just know this type of energy, man, you could make magic happen. So keep that in mind. You have the mouth, the wizard, the magician, right? You have the mouth to speak magic and coerce, manipulate, make shit happen too, you know, be funny. If some of you are funny, you know, this is that kind of week. Use your power. But the thing about this is this can cause a lot of restless energy for you. And you can see that because this is Gemini energy, the 9 of Swords. Your mind can go a mile a minute. And so this week you could be very restless. And what's that going to cause? It's going to make you react or think certain things. And we always tend to, when we go a mile a minute, we always tend to think the worst too, and then we react from the worst. We don't give ourselves a minute just to breathe and say, come on, mind, shut off. This is going to be a week where it might be hard to shut your mind off, all right? And so just if you have the urge to say something, you're really being asked to be careful around the word in this week. And, you know, because this weekend, okay, it's going to be very powerful. And I don't know, this is the first time in our lifetime that we've had all these energies. All right. So when you have these energies, if you don't figure out what you really want to say and what you really want to do this weekend, it's going to come out regardless. So on Monday, you guys are going to come back to me and say, I should have listened to you. All right. So the weekend's going to be the hardest for you. You could really cause a shitstorm if you want to. But if you have something that you want to say, make sure you rehearse starting now. Okay. Now, I do have the Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck, so it does tell me that you're going to have to put yourself in timeout, especially if you get these strong urges. Now, remember, on a good note, this stuff can really work for you, but at the same time, you might be thinking you're funny, but somebody else might not think you're funny, all right? So I think you're funny. All right, so your biggest challenge is the Moon card. All right, so this is where anxiety. I just see anxiety for you this week. You could get caught up in your fears. You might not, if things aren't changing fast enough for you, if things are not changing fast enough for you right now, you could really, your anxiety can intensify. All right. But you have to remember that the Moon card is telling you that what you think is true, what you see is not always the truth. It's your imagination, figment of your imagination. All right. And it's usually run or fueled by your fears. So let's see the energy around love. Look at this, the 2 of Cups. So you have serious conversation, a direct, honest conversation, whether you initiate it or your person initiates it. But just remember, be prepared. So you are being definitely, I'm reeling this in. I am telling you right now, somebody may talk to you this weekend, or, you know, want to talk to you this weekend, want to reconcile with you this weekend, want to just get together with you this weekend, want to say hi to you for the first time this weekend, right? Be prepared for how, because you don't want to be caught off guard either. Because if you're caught off guard, that's where things could get awkward. All right. And I also feel like maybe a person's awkward, and that's why things could get tense, because I also could be picking up on the energy. You're seeing mutual attraction and honest conversation with you and another person, but your person could also be dealing with this same energy. So keep that in mind. And then by Monday, you guys might be going, man, why couldn't I do that different? You know, those moments where, why couldn't I have said this? Why couldn't I have said that? You know, why didn't I respond this way? I had my perfect opportunity. All right. That's what I'm picking up for this biggest, huge shift for you. All right. So this is going to be strong mental composure. And this is something too that you've been going back and forth on your mind for a while. So you've been rehearsing something. And if you've been rehearsing something out of fear, remember, that's what's going to come out of your mouth first. So this is why I'm asking you to rehearse what you really want to say to somebody. All right. Because you may be the one that's initiating. You might get impatient this weekend and you may initiate. And the thing is if you initiate, it still could happen. It doesn't matter whether they do or you do. So it's kind of like a go, just be ready. All right. So I am feeling a possibility of a relationship starting for you. So for those of you who are single too, somebody could be trying to, you know, get the urge up to talk to you as well. So your love life is shifting right now. So make sure you're rehearsing the right conversation. What's your person's biggest challenge? The Star card. They don't think they're desirable and they don't want to disappoint you. And they lack a lot of courage and faith too when it comes to impressing you. All right. So this is somebody here that may be super impressed by you. They may feel like you are just like beautiful, right? Because this card does amplify beauty. They may find you like the best one in the room, right? Somebody that they've desired for a while. And so there is kind of an awkward moment, and this is going to be a learning period for the both of you, right? Where we're trying to figure things out. Now, somebody does not want to disappoint you, and they may feel like maybe they're not up to your standards. All right. So let's see what's possibly shifting this week for you. And I got the 7 of Cups. Look at this. Something you've been manifesting in your head, something you've been replaying, something that you've been dreaming about, something you've been fantasizing about. It looks like some sort of opportunity coming this way that something's going to play out. All right. So make sure you choose your story wisely. I love you, Gemini. That was one of the funniest Gemini readings I've ever done. Remember, I'm Gemini South Node. I've got you guys down. I was a Gemini in my past life. All right. So let's see. Cancer. Cancer. All right. Cancer. All right, Cancer, you know something, this energy that's happening right now is really about the way you look, the way you present yourself, and whether you are the one to step up and stand out. You could be feeling kind of torn in two directions. You know, do I hide? Do I wait? Do I stay back? Do I stay put? Do I initiate? You know, there could be moments where you're feeling challenged, where you're being seen, where you feel like every eyes are on you, but you're not comfortable with it. You may second guess things. You may just feel awkward at times. All right, this kind of energy, this square energy with you and Aries can be, you know, Aries is an initiator, all about ego and getting things done and stepping up and being independent. And Cancer can sometimes waver. You're indirect. You just want to be kind of, you know, in the backstage sometimes a little bit, you know, like just comfortable, you know, you want to feel safe, right? But you may feel exposed this week. And this is also could be a week where you're being challenged to step up and do something that is going to take a lot of courage for you, right? Especially when it comes to love and even life too, right? You want what you want. And, you know, you can't play it safe anymore. That's what I'm getting for you. You can't play it safe anymore. You know, it's like, how long are you going to hang on to something and go over something on your mind? You know, I got the star card for you here too. It's like you've been desiring something for a while and maybe even waiting patiently and just wishing that it'll just happen, that it'll show up at your front door. And some of you guys could feel, you know, also like, I'm scared too. You know, I don't want to disappoint. I don't want to get rejected. You know, I desire something, but remember that what you desire desires you, right? But it's about, you know, getting out of your inner world and showing up this week, right? So let's see your energy, the Tower card. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. This is a big week for you. Very challenging. It's breaking through, breaking down old patterns, right? So things could really escalate. And it almost feels like it almost feels like you're not really going to be able to fight this. You may be trying to avoid change, but something has to happen. Something is changing wildly in your life. Like it's like playing it safe is what I'm seeing here. All right, something is moving, something drastic this week. This is a big Tower week for you, which means rebuilding after this. It's like we got to break out and finally go grab what it is we're looking for. And the star here is telling me that it's going to be like this major breakthrough, but also sense of peace right away. So it doesn't feel like this is going to drag out for you, but you are, you know, it may challenge you internally. Now, on the outside world, you might look fine. You might feel fine, but your inside world, it looks like you're really being shooken up this week. And, you know, it's around being seen and being observed and being acknowledged or being accepted or having your person of interest and love, you know, see you, right? And this is going to be a lot of trust for you this week. Let's see, the Lovers card is showing up for you as well. All right, so it's the time. There's a big shift here happening when it comes to love. You may, like I said, been trying to, you've got to choose a choice, not just hope for it. That's the bottom line. These three cards are saying you've been dreaming about it long enough. You've been wanting something long enough. This is three major arcana for you. All right, God's going to protect, God's going to give you what you want, you know, but we got to do the work for it too. We've got to quit hiding behind a shell and demand, ask, go for it. Confidence. You're protecting yourself. You're trying to protect yourself from the very thing that you really truly desire, that you want. And, you know, because for me, Cancers want to stay safe and at home. So I'm hearing that what you wants you too. But when you contain yourself behind the walls of a tower, when you avoid being exposed, it's going to crack anyways, because you can only you're changing no matter what, and you can't contain that emotion. It's going to crack and you're going to explode. And now we're seeing the Lovers card here. It's like as soon as you make a choice, it's like the love is going to be right there at your doorway. The response, the conversation. Let's see your person's energy. The Nine of Swords. Your person may be feeling lost, feeling like they did something wrong, feeling a little anxious. There is a lot of anxiousness, a lot of anxious energy. You have Gemini showing up for you. You have Aries and you have Scorpio. So these energies here are being hit with this, all this energy right now, big time. So your person may be kind of trying to hold things together, you know, losing sleep, wondering what's up, not sure what to do, dealing with their own anxieties around the situation. Maybe they feel a little guilt about the way things went down, something that was said. But what I'm seeing here is, look, I'm looking at something that hasn't happened yet that could be happening from now to Sunday. So we don't want to see any regrets, because with the Tower on your side and the Lover's card, right, that could create a breakup, that could create an argument, that could create a shift based off of, you know, not being authentic, or exploding, or emotionally exploding, because, you know, you can only contain it for so long. So you may end up, you know, lashing out at your person, or you may overreact about a situation, and then it looks like your person here could feel guilty or feel bad or feel upset about what's happened. You know, you both seem to have a strong connection, but something is going to give this week when it comes to love for you, and it's going to crack open the truth about a situation. So by the end of the weekend, you know, what it is, because one, you have to choose, you know, instead of just hope and wish for things to get better, we got to figure out what's really going on here, right? We are seeing here that you may go through a Tower moment, have a huge revelation. There could be an outburst. There could be a truth, you know, being exposed between you and a lover, or you and another person, right? And there also could even have been a breakup over this, but I can see your person is not happy about it. Their biggest challenge, the Death card, they don't want this to end. But something is changing. Something has to change in this connection. Too many major arcanas. Something has to transform. It's like we have to speak our truth. So Cancer, I feel like you're being asked to really step up and not be afraid to be exposed for what it is you're really feeling, and speaking your ultimate truth to somebody, especially if this is love, you know, because it's like, if it's love, you guys are going to heal this, you're going to make it work, right? But something needs to happen, or it's going to happen regardless. Go back to Gemini's reading. You know, Gemini's is a little bit more funny. Yours is, if you've been containing something for way too long and you've been putting on a show on the outside like everything is fine, this is going to come to a head with this energy that's squaring you. You have strong Scorpio, Aries, and Gemini here showing up for you. So let's see, you know, what could actually change this week. I see the Knight of Cups. We're seeing, you know, like emotional connection here. We're seeing expressing our love for one another. It feels like things aren't as scary as you think, right? It feels like things are not as scary as you think. It feels like, you know, the bond is there, but we just need to be authentic and choose to be real and choose to speak our truth, you know, without, you know, because it looks like the regret here. You may regret not speaking your truth, or you may regret saying something that you wish you hadn't when it comes to this love situation. Or your person could choose another direction. So I am seeing here that there is somebody here that wants to tell you how they feel. And there is a chance here for your love life to shift, and this romance to grow. And even, you know, figuring out, you know, that somebody really does or is in love with you. But there's something here, and it's going to be different for each and every one of you. So I am telling you that this is a difficult energy for some of us. And depending on how you confront it, to me, it feels like if some of you are too afraid to really express yourself, you know, things could end. Things could move. Your person could, you know, maybe misunderstand or misread the situation. But if there's something that hasn't been exposed, or truth, it's eventually going to come up this week that could end up creating some sort of tower between you and another person. The good news is that we are seeing here that there's love that wants to form here. There's a relationship that wants to happen here. And for some of you, you know, maybe you are making a decision to finally break out of your old ways. Maybe some of you are single and you're wanting to move and open up to new love, but you can't let go of something that has fallen apart. I could read this way too. So this week could be a huge revelation for my Cancers. You know, if you want new love to come into your life, you've got to quit hoping for it and wishing for it and sitting back and thinking Amazon's going to deliver it to your house. You got to break out and move forward and be real. and make a choice to be exposed. And that means not being afraid to get rejected. You know, that's all of us. So this could be, where's this moving to this week? I see the Two of Wands. All right, the Two of Wands is a perfect card for you. You're being asked to let go of an old aversion, an old story, and you're being asked to get out of your comfort zone and either make that call, make that choice, take that next step, you know, step into your confidence and courage and go for it this week. All right, but be prepared. Be prepared. All right, Cancer. Love you. Don't have Prime. I do. I couldn't believe it. I ordered something. I was up at like 2 in the morning, and this was the night before. I ordered some pre-workout. I ordered something else, and pillow, and I didn't know it was going to be. It was at my door by 4 or 5 in the morning, and I thought the pillow was going to take forever. I was like, "Holy shit!" All right, Leo, 40-40. All right. Fire for Leo. Leo. You've been getting some good. I mean, I know it's been rough for you, Leo. But this fire energy is actually pumping you up. Like Leo's all right, let's get pumped up. All right. This could really push you into a new direction, something that you've been holding back. So we're looking at the biggest shift, right? And if you've been hesitant, if you've been, even yesterday I was doing your reading, right, with the fire signs, and it was showing that universe is trying to, God is trying to push you back to who you are, to remember who you are, and that is it, right? And so this is building for you this week. A break in your beliefs, a break in the way you see things to be true. In love, all right? So this is probably big for some of you in love. You're being challenged to, what is it that you really want, and what do you think you deserve in love? And it's time for you. This is why you're being asked to kind of look at who you are, remember who you are, all right? And remember what it is you want. The 10 of Pentacles is showing up too. So if you want it, expect it, desire it, you got to know you deserve it. Right? You have to know you deserve it. It's just the truth. If you don't think you deserve something, Leo, every time God tries to bring it to your door, you're going to push it away. That's how we sabotage. You're going to be like, I don't trust this. And then, of course, we always blame the other person. That's what we do as human, because the person will push away, but it's really our energy not trusting it and pushing the person away. Remember, is it the egg, or does the chicken come first or the egg? Does the thought come first or the action? So your biggest thing right now is knowing and remembering that you do deserve to have something that you've been wanting. And it could be around, your living style, your lifestyle, your marriage, or a good life. If you can't imagine having millions of dollars, you won't have millions of dollars. If you can't imagine having a stable, loving, beautiful home, you won't have it. And if you don't believe that it's possible, you won't have it either. Some things happen magically, right? Honestly, there are exceptions, but the exceptions don't override the general rule. Right? So your energy, I'm seeing here the 6 of Wands. This is your energy. All right. So some of you have been struggling lately with how people view you, how your person views you, your successes in life. This could be, you're more appreciated and admired than you think you are, but you have to remember and stand up and stand out and build up your confidence. So you are being pushed to take a bold move this week, all right, towards something that you want. What's your biggest challenge? The King of Pentacles. All right, so you might be dealing with somebody who procrastinates, maybe. So I'm going to look at this in two different ways. Your biggest challenge could be you're stuck on a person that is non-committal, or somebody that you feel like doesn't know your worth, somebody who's selfish, somebody who doesn't work, somebody who procrastinates, somebody who is lazy, somebody who, just doesn't give their energy to you. Somebody who cares more about their place in life, their status in life, than they do about the relationship. But also you could just be connecting with somebody who has no ambition. And that is not giving you the quality or the life that you want. And you may feel like, pushing this person or going, this is the only thing you got, only option you have. That's not true. And then if it's you, if this is a life decision, like you feel like you're never going to have the money, that you're never going to have the job, you're never going to, you don't have the skills, you don't have the luxuries, you are, I grew up in the projects, right? It's like, we moved out of it, but it's like you have a mindset that you can never achieve these things. And if you believe that about yourself, you're not going to attract a high value person into your life. You're not going to think you're good enough for it. But the cards here are saying, yes, you are. I don't know where you lost yourself. So there's a bold move, all right, that you might be making some demands on a relationship. And if somebody doesn't make the cut, they're not making the cut, right? But also, I also see, though, too, that maybe you are connecting to somebody and you love somebody, but there's something that you're doing that's pushing this person away. And it could be your lack of confidence, or something that you need to go after and pursue and step up. Maybe your person wants you to step up into your confidence. So this can work. I mean, depending on what kind of relationship you're in, guys. If you're in a stable relationship and you're just trying to make things work, I mean, this is about confidence here, and this is about knowing you deserve to have the good things in life. If you're trying to connect with somebody, and this is what I already said, that you're dealing with somebody who might be thinking that you don't even know your own worth, you don't even know what you deserve. So it could be showing up in many different ways for you. All right. So let's see your person and their challenge. Your Knight of Wands. You got a person here, an Aries, Leo, Sag energy that has a lot of fire. Somebody who's very ambitious, very passionate, and it might be even impulsive. But they like freedom in action. They want spontaneity. They want fun. They want to do something fun and creative. What's their biggest challenge? The Two of Swords. The two of you can't seem to agree on the same thing, agree on the same direction. So Leo, I'm going to say a couple things. This is going to be a huge shift this week when it comes to making a decision, when it comes to where your direction in life is and who you're connecting to. It's pretty much, you need to, for this shift to happen, right? You've got to believe it, not perform it. This isn't about you performing like you're good. Everything's good, because you're burnt out or unhappy and you're not getting what you want. You're not getting that lifestyle that you need. But Leos have a tendency to act like they do. Everything's fine, because you're going to fake it till you make it. That's the strength of a Leo. I'm going to attract it in eventually. But it looks like you're not happy and you're not getting what you want. Now, are you connecting with somebody who is, that energy of kind of selfish? I kind of go do my own thing. I play around, right? But you're wanting somebody who's a King of Pentacles. You have to make a choice this week, because it looks like, you might be connecting with somebody that's all about, fun, passion, free ride, let's go out and have fun, sex, chemistry, lust. But you're wanting somebody who's stable, somebody who's got it made, somebody who has status, somebody who's going to give you a good life, somebody who's working as hard as you do, if that's the case, right? So some of you might be playing around in the wrong field. Maybe you're dealing with younger people, or people that are ambitious but don't have yet the status that you're looking for. Those are for my singles. All right. For some of you, if you're in a relationship with somebody, there is an imbalance here. You guys want different things. Your person is saying, you know, we need to have more fun, do something fun, exciting, spontaneous. We need to bring some chemistry, some passion. You know, let's go, let's do this, right? They want you to have confidence. They want you to know that you're ambitious. They want to see you move. They want you to remember who you are. They're very attracted to you. But they may see you as somebody who's procrastinating, somebody who's burnt out, somebody who doesn't see their worth. All right. So this is going to be one of these weeks. The biggest shift is you come into some realization about who you are and not acting it anymore, not performing it. I don't care what you tell me, Leo. It's what you're believing inside, what you truly feel, because that's what you're being hit with all this fire. And this fire energy is going to push you moving forward in the right direction. It's almost like you're going to excel, you know, excel, there it is, but accelerate. Like everything's just going to speed up and you're going to get a huge fire lit up under your ass. So this week I am seeing the 9 of Cups. Expect a blessing. Expect a blessing, but also expect, you know, what you deserve. Because the 9 of Cups is saying, you know, attitude of gratitude and being very satisfied and grateful for a life that you really want. But you've got to know that you can have this and you deserve it. So there could be a huge blessing coming towards you this week, especially in relationships and love. All right, Leo, that fire, man, fire coming through. Let me know if that resonates, right? You're welcome. Even if you're not connected to anybody, you got to look at that message as about you. What do you think you deserve, humble? That's what that message was about, because it doesn't matter whether you're with somebody or not. The ultimate message was for you, Leo. All right, Virgo. All right, so Virgo, you know, us Virgo risings, ma'am, 8th house Aries energy. Oh my God. You know, so Virgo, this is about shared energy. This is about shared resources. This is about, you know, money, taxes, and all this other good stuff and dark stuff, all the stuff that we want to avoid. This is, Virgo's got it the most intense right now with this energy shift, I believe. All right. You know, I see the King of Cups. You could be dealing with the Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. So there could be something shifting in love this week when it comes to a water sign. So if your relationships, especially in love with this energy, Virgo, I know it welcome a Virgo rising. If your energies have been, your relationships have been unequal in any way, you're going to be solving that issue. All right. That's Scorpio energy. 8th house is Scorpio energy. Very powerful energy, very intense energy, very transforming energy. And that's kind of what I feel like with Virgos all year long. It's like, if you're dealing with shit that just isn't equal, if you're dealing with relationships that you don't feel supported in, there is a huge breakthrough coming in. You know, it's like if you feel like you're owed something, or if you feel like you haven't been getting supported emotionally or being misunderstood, this is all coming into balance. There's going to be a huge break. So what does that mean for those of you that are dealing with situations that you know are not healthy, or you know you're done with, but you keep trying? That's why some of my Virgos things haven't been working out in some ways. But that's not all of you, so don't make it fit. But some of you, you have a strong belief that this is a waste of my time. This isn't what I deserve. So if you have a strong belief system like that, this week is going to break that shit up. You know, you can only give so much. It's not a comfortable energy for you. All right. But it's definitely very clarifying. So think about where you're given, but you're not being matched. That cycle is breaking. You know, and if something's been holding you back in life, look at this Ace of Wands. If something's been holding you back, a fear has been holding you back this week, that shit's getting broken. So your energy, Virgo, is definitely deep and psychological. It doesn't mean you're leaving people all the time. It doesn't mean you're losing. It's in your internal world. If something's not working, you're going to break. And once you break and you realize it, then it's up to the other person whether or not they step up. If they don't step up, then that's who are a different version of yourself. You're not going to tolerate it. So communication this week. Something getting started. And this is honesty. This is passion. This is speaking truth. This is, we got to handle something. We got to get this party started. We've got to talk about where things are going. So this new moon Aries is going to be definitely laying down a very, very important shift for you. And that's a new start energy for you too. And it's going to be uncomfortable for some of you, but definitely inspiring, and it's also coming with clarity. So you, the Two of Cups, look at this conversation coming in, and the challenge though is the Five of Swords. You got to be honest. So it's you can't fix everything. Don't try and fix everything. Don't try and, if somebody's confusing you this week, if somebody doesn't know what they want, if you're feeling like you've been constantly trying to figure everything out, overthinking, trying to work it through, all that stuff's out the door this week. There could be a reconciliation with a lot of you. This is a deep conversation that could shift everything. This is a deep conversation with two people that really care about each other. It looks like it's enough with the game playing. Let's get real. That's what I'm feeling. You have Scorpio energy here. So if you're in a real connection, and if somebody has real love for you, there's going to be a conversation around, we gotta get to the truth here. We gotta stop battling each other, stop trying to one up each other, stop trying to figure things out. Let's just, surrender to it, throw the towel in, and see where it goes. But also, if somebody is not willing to do that with you, and they're constantly giving you mixed emotions, this is the week, Virgo, where you're like, I can't do this anymore. You can't fix a circus. You can't convince somebody if they don't want to hear you. You can only explain yourself so many times. Because the truth is, Virgo, is that they heard you the first time. I want you to hear that. Your person heard you the first time. They weren't confused. You don't have to over-explain yourself. That's a wound. That's a trigger. All right. So this week, it's going to be clear about that. You don't need to over-explain yourself. You need to tell somebody once and they hear you. Your person, Three of Cups, all right? So it looks like you have somebody in your energy that really wants to make this work. All right. I am seeing a strong energy of a reconciliation here between you and somebody else. But you only need to say things once this week. All right. We're seeing we need to have this emotional conversation. We need to lay out the truths. We need to stop, this bullshit or whatever, right? We need to have a conversation here. And it looks like for many of you, the biggest shift that's happening for you is that a relationship, a conversation is happening that's happening that's going to bring your relationship to the next level. You have the Three of Cups here. It feels like there's a lot of love here, and we need to figure out what and why this keeps happening. So your person's biggest challenge, the Chariot card, they never can figure out which way they want to go. They stop and start again, on and off again. Your person gets all messed up in the head when things start to move too fast. I have Cancer energy showing up for you, so there could be a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, or somebody who has a lot of emotional energy. Your person, when they start to open up and they start to question everything. They start to lie to themselves, or they confuse you to slow things down. Right? But the Chariot card says this person is always pulled towards you, and where there's a will, there's a way. But your person puts the brakes on every time things move too fast because they get in their head. What's their zodiac sign? Look at their reading. It's just like, what the hell? And so this is you laying out guidelines, laying out demands, and laying out the script and sticking with it. As long as we can do this, it looks like you guys can really make this work and move forward. Things may start to accelerate between you and a person of interest this week. So let's see where things are going. I got the King of Swords. I have an Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. I have a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. What I'm seeing here this week is there's a huge conversation around something that's been disappointing you for a while. Now, you're being asked to have a conversation with being able to detach a little bit from your emotions and look at things logically, right? That's what the King of Swords. But if somebody is emotionally cold to you, that's not going to work this week. If somebody is willing to open up and be vulnerable with you this week, that's how you're going to know you're moving forward, because there's two kinds of energies coming through. One, somebody who's afraid to let you in, and somebody here who wants to let you in, you know, but when things move too fast, it seems like they put the brakes on. All right. So that's what I'm seeing for my Virgos. A strong Aquarius energy, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, and a strong Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. All right, Libra. Are you guys liking today's readings? I like the energy of the whole week. 101. All right, Libra. Yes, I love this fire energy. Let's get a good shuffle. All right, Libra. So let's see. This is a really relationship kind of energy for you. This is significant for you. This is you versus others. This is you. This is, you know, so something could finally be resolved is what I'm getting. If things have been in limbo for a while, you're going to see somebody straight. You're going to see somebody what they really want. You're going to see somebody for who they really are. You know, so maybe an important decision coming through. I mean, anytime this kind of opposition, it feels like something's got to give. So facing some truth, which can be good, and it can be, you know, of course it's good because it's going to be clarity, right? But for some of you, you know, you just can't stay in this kind of energy much longer because it's going to drive you crazy. You know, you want something, you got to be real, you got to step into it. It's pushing you to step into some Aries energy, initiating and being confident. And so this could, you know, Libra, you know, tends to want to keep the peace, you know, and now Aries opposing you is like, sorry, can't keep the peace any longer. You got to be real, straightforward, step up and take action and have the courage and to say what you really want, bottom line. And if you don't get what you want, this energy, you can't keep sitting in this energy, because the energy is going to stress your internal world out constantly. It's like, so it feels like a clean cut for you. You know, especially by the end of the weekend. Now, there could be something, you know, forming by the end of the weekend too, so keep that in mind. Right? I have the Queen of Wands. So you are being asked to step up into that fire Aries energy, the confidence. You know, you have a vision. You got to make some bold moves. That's what's shifting for you. Now, when we go into the Taurus energy by Sunday, this means that for some of you, by taking this bold move this week, you are very magnetic right now. You're giving off a great vibe. But you may know by Sunday, you know, where things land and having plans, things getting a little bit more stable. Like, all right, because I cannot sit in this limbo energy any longer. But so for many of my Libras, this is asking you to step up to the plate and make a decision of whether or not you're going to weeble wobble with anything anymore. You know, cut something and let's go, right? And so that could turn out amazing. And it could end up being one of the big life revelation for you. Right, look at this, the Seven of Cups. This couldn't be more perfect. You know, this is sitting around dreaming about something to happen, but also, you know, confused about what if this, what if that. None of the options you have right now are fulfilling. So for some of you, this is saying, you know, if they're not making you happy, you got to choose to move on. Because sitting in uncertainty and waiting for somebody who may not fulfill you is not getting you anywhere. But also for some of you too, this is bold action. This is saying maybe you have a lot of options around you, and don't be afraid of rejection. Don't be afraid of rejection. If you've got so many options around you, you're giving off a vibe of the Queen of Wands. That means that you're hot. This is a hot, very hot relationship moment for you. Don't underestimate yourself. You could make the biggest change in love this week, starting this week, by making that choice. What's your biggest challenge? Ace of Pentacles, right? You don't want to be the one to make the solid offer. You don't want to commit. You're afraid to commit to an option. You know, that's the only thing. Or you don't trust the options you have. If you don't trust the options that you have, this is where you got to move on and go swim in another pond. You might be selling yourself short. You're showing up as the Queen of Wands. Don't sell yourself short. But also, you could be the one with the fear of commitment, and you may be thinking it's everybody else. And that's where we could have a conversation about that for hours. You know, we like to say it's the other person, but it's coming from that thought within. So we've got to make a decision. And if you want a commitment, you know, are the options you have, are you not committing because they're not fulfilling you and you're really not ready? Because if you really want something, you guys know you'll get it. But if you don't really want somebody, you're going to wait. You're going to be like, I can wait. I can do this. I'll just hang on and see what happens. Wait for something better to come along. That's what the Seven of Cups is. I'm just going to wait for fear of missing out. And so you're not landing in on something. Right. So that's what I'm seeing. This is going to change for you, because a lot of you, you know, you still find yourself fantasizing about a relationship. You got to make it happen. Let's see anybody around you. Ace of Wands. You have somebody that really does want to get something. Look at the two aces, guys. This is the biggest moment for you in love. It seems like when you're ready, your person's ready. What's their challenge? Eight of Pentacles. All right, so they may be minding their business, doing their own thing, focused on other things, but they're looking for commitment. But they might be waiting for you to knock on their door. So somebody might be, you know, works a lot, gets distracted, right, and doing their thing. You got a very independent energy here. So you're connecting, or you got somebody here that, you know, doesn't always need attention. But that doesn't mean that they're not wanting you or wanting to connect with you. So the aces are showing up for you, which tells me it's all up in the air. You have the opportunities. You have the opportunity here, but somebody's got to make a choice. And it looks like you're the one that needs to really make the choice. Is your person an avoidant? If you're dealing with avoidance, then you're going to be dealing with avoidance for a long time. You know, and if avoidance not fulfilling you, that's where you got to move on. That's where this can get difficult, this energy. But for some of you, you might be dealing with somebody that just has other things going on, and they don't even realize that, you know, how much you really want this, you know, so you may need to be blunt. This is a week where, you know, this isn't chasing, by the way. This is being direct. This is saying we're at the aces. I'm making a choice. I'm being direct with you. I'm knocking at your door. Either you're there or not. If you don't answer, I'm out of here. That's what this reading says. So this week I'm seeing the Lover's card stamp right here. This is one of the most powerful love situations, but you have to make a choice here. Are you going to connect with people that are like from your past that keep doing the same thing over and over? You know, you don't even know, it doesn't feel like they fulfill you. Or are you looking forward and you really truly want love? But this is communication and this is opening up, and it's not just desire here. It's not going after somebody that you feel is so passionate. It's going after what feels more like real love. What's real love? So this could be a huge new start. And if you guys are single, these energies here are telling me that you have a lot of options around you right now. So you're on fire right now. You are on fire, but you are being asked, you're Libra, your opposite sign is Aries. So you're being asked to pull a little from Aries energy and step up and initiate this week and be very bold. You have Gemini energy coming in. So also listen to Gemini's reading. That might have something for you as well. Some of you could be or have Gemini moon rising. All right, Scorpio. Let's see what Scorpio. All right, I want to see what Scorpio gets. Look, I'm not easy on anybody. All right. All right, I'm glad it resonates. Gemini it was Taurus last week, remember? Taurus was kind of leading the gang. And now I think Gemini is for everybody. Everybody needs to kind of get ready for that energy. All right, so Scorpio this week, all right. It's going to be a push-pull, because this is all about, like, if you're doing anything or you're obsessing over something or you're doing something that you know is no bueno. You know what the no buenos are, all right? And you try to hide, you try to keep, you know, this is going to be one of these weeks where, you know, a shift's going to happen. And I see you've been avoiding something. The Three of Swords, right? The Tower card. You can't avoid it any longer. Right? You cannot avoid it any longer. You got some pain going on. This could be internal. All right. You may be hiding something that's been going on for a while, or disappointment. You know, but this is a separation. So some of you being asked to separate from an old version of yourself into a new version. It doesn't mean, you know, I mean, it could mean a separation this week. It could mean you have a disappointing argument, something's said, somebody flies off the handle this week. You know, maybe a move comes in, maybe something you weren't expecting. And so just be aware that, you know, but this is good. This is a good energy. It doesn't seem like it right now, but there's a lot of tension building up. If there's a lot of chaos or drama or tension between you and another person, your love cannot grow from this. You may be trying to avoid or make something work, or, you know, because you're avoiding getting hurt, or, you know, the thought of losing something. But it's kind of like Cancer's energy too. You can't avoid this anymore. And it could simply be just old people, old habits, somebody coming in from the past that is trying to pull you back into their ways. So keep that in mind. You know, if you have a bad habit or an addiction to somebody or an addiction to something, you know, you may feel kind of like you're wavering between two worlds again. Relationships will become maybe more defined this week. Look at this, the Six of Cups. So I'm telling you, I know it seemed like it was going to be great energy, but something has to be said between you and another person. Oftentimes when we have relationships that are this close, or we feel like a soulmate connection with somebody, you know, we get comfortable and we build a relationship based on a dynamic that just doesn't work for us anymore. And it seems like, well, one, you could have a past person come back into your life. So be aware of that. You know, you could be the one calling back a past person. But two, you're being asked to do a reset. Do a reset in a relationship. So it looks like we're having a conversation with somebody so that we can make a shift in our relationship. And if you're dealing with a relationship that seems like you don't know where it's going, that's also going to shift too. So you may finally land in a place by the end of the weekend where you and another person feel like, all right, we both have a clue here. We both really want something more from this relationship. So, you know, I am going to say expect the unexpected. You know, maybe some of you are feeling a little bit shaky, feeling like you got to say something or get something off your chest. But it looks like, you know, I am seeing the love between you and another person develop or grow closer. What's your biggest challenge? The Two of Swords. So, you know, here it is. If some of you are torn between two relationships, a past and a new, you're going to have to make a decision this week. Because sometimes you don't make a decision. I know you might not want to hear this, but sometimes the people will make a decision for you and they'll walk away. You'll lose both. Can't have one foot in, one foot out. Building a relationship that's not stable. That's the Tower card. So if you've been trying to build a relationship with somebody and there's other relationships involved, this could be a sign where, you know, yes, we love each other, but if we don't make a decision soon, we could lose everything. Because you have the Three of Swords and the Two of Swords. But also know that by making a decision, we need to decide what we're doing, could also bring you guys closer. So this can go either way. Let's see your person, the Hierophant. So I am seeing the Hierophant, which could be a traditional relationship. They want a traditional relationship. They're also stuck in their ways in a lot of way. They may be feeling a lot of pressure around relationship. So I am feeling, these are one of these readings where I'm feeling called to two different storylines. If one of you is dealing with somebody who's married, the pressure of their commitment and the pressure of their commitment to you, there could be a breaking point this week. But if some of you are dealing with a connection, you know, either way, it doesn't matter whether they're in another relationship or you're still in love with somebody from the past, you're being asked to make a choice. It's difficult. You got to make the right choice because you could lose potentially the opportunity with both of them. Your person, it looks as though your person really does see you or feels a spiritual connection. And it could be a Taurus energy too, but really wants to build something solid with you. They want a traditional relationship. They want stability. They want security. What's their biggest challenge? I see the King of Wands. They also have ego, pride, and they could be dealing with a lot of responsibilities. You have Aries, Leo, Sag showing up. So for many of you, I feel like your person would be, you know, willing to make a choice if they had an ultimatum. You may be making an ultimatum, or somebody may be making an ultimatum to you this week, right? Like there's a lot of chemistry there. The Six of Cups, there's a soulmate energy. But it looks as though your biggest challenge is you're the one that is indecisive. You don't know what to do. You got to make a decision this week. Let's see. And if you're not dealing with anybody who's married or anything like that, just leave it alone. There's two storylines here because there are some people that are I know they're in this, I can feel it. You're in this connection and there's no judgment about it. But this is a week where you can only stay. This kind of energy is breaking things out. That Tower card and that Three of Swords is breaking you out of something that's not stable. Right? So this week, I see the Queen of Cups where things are moving. You're starting to get in tune with your true feelings and what is really important to you. You're going to need to do some soul searching and diving deep and doing what feels right for you. Because a relationship does want to grow, but you may need to open up and let them in. And if you're torn between two people, you may be able to let them in on a certain level, but to get to that level of a 6 of Cups, you've got to be open and vulnerable. You have to be able to be open and vulnerable to your person so you can feel safe. And if you're not able to open up to your person and you feel like their ego or they won't let you in, you cannot grow in a relationship this way. You need to feel emotionally safe with somebody. And that's going to be your indicator this week. If you don't feel emotionally safe, you're going to crack. You're not going to be able to continue the way you're going. But also, many of you are going to get the clarity you're looking for. And a lot of you may get that. Look at this 6 of Cups. A lot of you may get that reciprocation that you're looking for. This, to me, feels like something that needs to happen so that your relationship can grow. The only way for your relationship to flourish is if this happens, is what I'm hearing. Now, that might not be for everybody. You have Taurus, Aries, Leo, Sag showing up for you. Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. All right. Let's see. We have Sagittarius. All right, I'm typing in the timestamps. That's what's taking so long. Hello, Inspirational Equine. Wouldn't you like to know? Hello. All right, guys, I'm glad you're here. All right, Sagittarius, let's see what's going on. You've been having some fun energy. It feels like passion. Now, this is fire energy, feeling alive, sexuality, romance all week, right? You know, like this fire, same thing for Leo and Aries, right? It is a spicy, saggy week. So what I'm going to say is that if you're not getting it, you're not going to stay with it. You know, if you're not feeling it, you're not going to give to it, because it's one of these things where this week is going to be so potent, especially by the weekend too. Like if you're not feeling that you have like your needs met, or you're not feeling excited, this is going to be like the lamest people in your life are going to just, you're going to be like, what am I doing? What was I doing? What am I mean, so something may happen this week where somebody really lights your fire up, and you may be reminded of what you've been missing out in. All right, it can be something like that for my Sagittarius. You may want to be more active too in this energy, because fire energy, you may be feeling like making a life shift when it comes to your health, your diet, you know, exercising. That's what I've been doing. You know, it's like you got to use this fire one way or another. So I'm going to say a love situation is either going to deepen, very sexual energy, and it's going to be the good kind, or, you know, very lustful. I mean, you got the devil showing up here. Or it's going to be you're releasing somebody that's been taking up too much of your energy. Right? I see the 10 of Swords. So this to me feels like you've been playing around with a situation that's wore you out, right? A lot of you, again, you're tired of being disappointed. Your biggest challenge, the 5 of Wands, all right? So this is where it's been weighing on you for quite some time. It looks like breaking out of, you know, an energy that's been, you know, stealing your joy, stealing your thunder. So you're getting some sort of nitro this week to take action. You're tired of fighting somebody. You're tired of fighting a situation. You're needing passion. You're needing fuel in your life. Let's see the energy around you, the Two of Pentacles. You keep dealing with somebody who's inconsistent. All right, you got to make a choice. This is a big week for making choices. Your person keeps going back and forth. Your person keeps leaving things up in the air. You know, it seems like there's a potential. I'm going to tell you this though right now. There's potential with your person. And what do I mean with that? It means if you keep going, eventually something could turn out, but it is not moving as fast as you want it to. I can see it. You're constantly wondering if you're missing out. You're constantly wondering if it's going to go anywhere. Every time your person pulls their energy away, you argue or you fight or you feel this tension and you feel like you're losing. You feel like you're always losing, but it's just because your person keeps, you know, one day showing up one way, the next day pulling back. It's like the inconsistency is driving you mad. And this week, I see the anger and frustration, all this fire that's coming up for you, Sagittarius. If you're not feeling the joy, the passion, the sexual energy, if you're not getting that, it's going to turn into anger, resentment, frustration. And you may end up doing something. You could be juggling. You may end up going off and finding somebody else. You got the devil showing up for you. You might be saying, if I don't get what I want, or if I don't get this, if I don't get some passion, your fire energy needs some fuel sometimes. And if you don't have a way to burn it off, you're going to find a way. And sometimes it's not the healthiest way. And this could be one of these weeks where you're going to have to make a choice, because you could end up making an unhealthy choice because you're not getting what you really need. And your person is somebody that you keep toying with who won't be consistent with you. Their biggest challenge, the High Priestess, right? So they don't trust themselves. They don't trust commitment. So it's like they're not always being honest with you. They don't always they don't always fulfill their promises. They don't always speak the truth. They back up and then they say they're going to do something and they don't. As soon as you make plans, they go quiet. As soon as things start to move, they go quiet. You just can't always trust this person in your love. Or you keep connecting with people that you can't trust. And the Ten of Swords tells me you keep doing it over and over and over and over again. You know, maybe the passion is there, but the devil's there as well. So this week is really going to light some fire where you could end up really walking away from a situation, or some of you could end up even cheating on a partner. You know, you have free will, all right? So nobody can predict that you're going to cheat on your partner if you're not willing to jump in the sack with somebody. But it is that kind of energy. So where's this week headed? I see the Emperor card. You got to contain the chaos. This week is asking you to take control and to make some huge shifts and decisions in your life, being bold. So you are being asked to contain the chaos and step up and make a decision finally of what are you going to keep going back and forth with somebody that you just feel like, you know, you give the most power to. You try so much, because there's some times when there's a lot of intensity, but then there's some times when, you know you're not being honest with yourself. It's just too much work. You're betraying yourself with somebody. Or you're giving too much of your energy to people that don't deserve it, right? So Aries energy is really pumping you up to make some real strong decisions this week. So I say by Sunday, you're going to know whether the connections you're dealing with you are going to really light you up, or if they're dimming you, if they're draining you. You'll see a huge contrast. Now, you have free will. You don't have to leave anybody or make a decision or do anything. You can stay right where you're at, but you'll know the truth by Sunday. All right, Sag got it. The fire sign's really getting hit today. but in a really good way. Let me see, 129. Oh, they're getting hit in a good way, though. The fire's going to burn down the shit, and the fire's going to push them. I love it. All right, so we are moving on to Capricorn. We made it to Cap. Let's see what's going on with Cappy time. All right, Capricorn. All right, so what's going on with you? You know, of course, this energy could cause a lot of restless energy this week, so keep that in mind. You know, again, you know, there could be things around your foundations, your home life, the things you want, you know, so if things don't feel stable, don't feel rooted, there could be a lot of tension growing this week. So keep that in mind, that if you're feeling frustrated, it's because you're not feeling safe. But that's only going to be like by the end of the weekend, things that romance, that's going to be your sweet spot. This weekend is going to be a good time to, you know, you've been working, Seven of Pentacles, things been working hard. You've been, you know, kind of wondering which direction you're going in. But this weekend is asking you to have fun. I like that because I'm a Capricorn progressed and you're in my 5th house. So it feels perfect. It feels like this weekend, falling in love, feeling a romance, feeling romantic, feeling like, you know, I just need to go do something. But know that this tension is going to build up to that. Now I have the 2 of Swords here showing up for you too, your energy. What's your biggest challenge? The 5 of Pentacles. All right. So it's like you're busting your ass, or you're just kind of always fearing or feeling like something's not going to work out. You know, it's like you're expecting disappointment. Somebody may have pulled away. You may feel unsupported. You know, you're not sure if you're going to give to something anymore. But to me, it feels like, you know, you just can't decide right now what to do, because it feels like you've been sitting in this place for a while and you just don't know where things are going. But what I can see is that there's investment here, which means that you may have already invested in a situation. You're already tied to it, which is why it's difficult for you to, you know, kind of focus on something else. You don't know what else to focus on. You seem to focus a lot on the disappointment or things not turning out the way you planned on a situation. But the thing I'm seeing here is the 7 of Pentacles is things are still moving. They're just stopped for a second because there's something else you're supposed to be doing. And this is where I feel like, you know, maybe you're being taught to have more fun instead of taking everything so serious. The energy around you, the 9 of Cups, the biggest challenge could be a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, or an Aries. You have somebody that can be selfish. You have somebody who controls, who's controlling and puts their needs first. They absolutely desire this. They desire you. They're attracted to you. But this is somebody that wants things the way they want things. And so this could be why you're not feeling so supported with a situation. You are dealing with somebody that has what they want, gets what they want, knows what they want. And sometimes can lack accountability. They don't know how to control their indulgences. And also, I hate to say this, but I feel like your person is unappreciative of what you give to them, what you do for them. So you're dealing with an ego. You're dealing with a very strong ego and pride here. And when your person's dealing with pride, they don't want to move forward. They don't want to take action. And so it's like they go completely in the opposite direction. But then the good news is they come forward and it's like they step up and they show up as an emperor. They got the plans, but then they don't always follow through with plans. Your person lacks discipline and lacks accountability at times. But you can't keep dealing with somebody. This is where you're torn. You can't keep dealing with somebody who only partially shows up. Because now you're starting to expect the worst, and also you're settling with whatever they give you. So we do have a problem here. One where you have to make a decision. You are kind of dealing with that kind of energy, a selfish kind of energy. If you feel like you're never going to get the support from this person or they're never going to follow through, you know, you obviously have to make a decision if you want to keep giving to this. But it does look like there's an ultimatum here too with you and somebody else as well. But again, the weekend, you know, it's showing somebody stepping forward in Aries energy. Somebody, you know, it almost feels like the second you start to walk away, your person comes back around. All right, so I am seeing a reset this week. You got the Four of Swords. Give it a couple days. Like I said, Capricorn, you may be going through some uncertainties right now or a lot of tension between somebody who's kind of selfish, but it feels like by the weekend, you guys will be going through a reset. You'll hear from your person. You may go somewhere. You're dealing with somebody who's selfish, lacks accountability at times, maybe doesn't even realize when they are being inconsiderate. And I know that sucks. I'm sorry it sucks. There's people like that, but obviously you have a choice whether or not you want to connect with people like this. But things may be quiet for the next couple of days with this person, but it looks like you guys will be finding a way to reconnect on the weekend. I'm going to say, Capricorn, when this person pulls away, you got to have more fun. This person may know that you miss them, and they also may challenge you. But the more fun you're having when this person pulls away, the faster they're going to come back around. But right now, it feels like this person controls the way you feel and what you expect. And it's also bleeding into other areas of your life. So it looks like you got to make a decision on how serious you're going to take this situation every time this person pulls away. The good news is you do have an emperor. So eventually, hopefully they will step up into position. But right now, their challenges, they lack commitment. And that's what you're dealing with. All right. So again, I have the two of wands here. This can go back and forth, and this can continue going back and forth. This is a story that's not over yet. But so it might be what you're dealing with right now. It's not predicting the outcome of your situation. It does seem like, you know, you have to make some choices here on how you're going to deal with this connection when they go quiet. And that's what I have for you. All right. Aquarius, 138. All right. Let's see. All right, so let's see. Aquarius energy. All right, you have 4 of Wands. So a lot around the home, happiness and joy, something big shifting around your home. All right. If things don't fit into place, they're not going to make it. All right. This is a reunion. Somebody could be coming home, you know, maybe making a decision about a home, about where things are going in a relationship. So things could actually change around your immediate environment, around things that's where you feel safe. Maybe taking the next step in a relationship as well. All right, I see the Queen of Swords, right? So you got a good energy, right? Feeling very focused and driven. So it looks like things could start to get clear for you, a conversation, whether it's uncomfortable conversations or it's good conversations. But we're getting right to the point of things. And we're saying exactly what we need to say. And this is going to be a really big change in direction when it comes to whether it's family, life, love, relationships in general. Let's see you, Ace of Cups, all right? You're ready for real. You're ready for real. What's your challenge? You hate change, but you're dealing with a lot of chaos at home. You're dealing with a lot of chaos, whether it's home, work, anywhere you live. I'm seeing house, I'm seeing family, I'm seeing relationships. You're dealing with uncertainty constantly, and I feel like you can't do it anymore. That's your biggest shift this week, Aquarius. If there's things that you can't handle anymore, if there's things you can't pay for anymore, if you're overextended or you are ready for something that's more comfortable, this week is breaking down those truths, and there could be a huge major move shift in your immediate environment. But the good news is it's bringing you all together with the right family, the right set of people, the right relationship. Somebody new could enter your life this week that changes everything. Some of you have been trying to hold it together, and you're going to lose your shit. It's like you got to break out. You got to get out. The energy around you, the Chariot, somebody could be returning or coming in. I'm seeing travel, and I'm seeing somebody very focused and driven on moving forward. So whatever is going on is going to happen quick for you. This isn't going to be like a slow dissolve. This is going to be a quick revelation. This is going to be a quick move. Could be unexpected, but you know, and it could be somebody returning or somebody entering your life. It doesn't matter, but this energy screams, let's go. I'm not dealing with chaos anymore. Let's get the hell out of here and go. Now you could be falling in love and things moving pretty fast here. So gear up and buckle up. Your person's challenge, 6 of Wands, all right? So you may be dealing with a very busy person or somebody who's overextended, but you do have somebody around you that has a lot of other people interested in them. So maybe that's what, you know, they get a lot of attention or they're high profile, right? If you know, so that's the only challenge here is you might be dealing with somebody that is a public figure or somebody that has a lot going on in their life. They give a lot of their attention, and also or it could be just simply you're dealing with somebody who's a little superficial on the surface level at first, but that doesn't mean, look, you're at the new beginning. There's ego there, but somebody very good looking. So a little bit of pride and ego, and that's Leo energy. So that's your opposite sign. So, you know, but opposites attract. Right? So where's this week headed? Away from the sleepless nights. Things are really changing for you. Look at this, the 10 of Cups. Some of you are just at the breaking point of I can't do this anymore. I want a real relationship. I want real love. I want safety. I want home. You know, maybe you've been stressing, losing sleep because you want somebody to return. This is somebody returning, but you are dealing with somebody with a little bit of pride and ego. They can be a little bit selfish at times too. But also some of you know you may need to let go of something because you want real, and this is where you have an offer coming in. So this can show up in many different ways, but Aquarius, you have a huge shift. So this weekend I'm seeing let somebody in. Let somebody in, especially if it's a new person and it feels good, you know, somebody unexpected could come back into your life. But I am seeing it's time to let go of any anxieties or something that's been looping on your head, that it's resolved. Resolve it already. All right. That's what I have for my Aquarians. You have Aries, Scorpio, Cancer, Leo. All right. One. We made it to Pisces. All right. My Pisces. All right, let's see. Very powerful week this week, Pisces. And I mean, this is going to be different for you because we've left your energy. You're coming into something new. You know, we've all kind of walked in this fog for a long time, and now you're starting to see things more clearly. And that's going to pick up right now. That's going to, this week, that's really what's real is going to become more defined for you this week. So if a person's not, if you've been wearing the glasses with a person trying to make somebody be something they're not, that's going to be more prevalent. And then if there's somebody that you've been questioning, wondering about, you could realize that somebody is the most beautiful person in the world, and this is your real deal, right? So it can show up, but reality is going to define itself. And this is all around your values too, you know, what you deserve. Somebody may express themselves to you this weekend, or you may feel the need to express yourself to somebody. I got the Knight of Wands. Look at this. You're moving really fast, and this is exciting for you. This energy is pushing you into a new direction. It's that you may feel a whole new confidence this week, knowing what to say, what you want to say, where you want to go, what you want. So the Knight of Wands doesn't even question things. The Knight of Wands just feels it and goes, knows it. It's different than a watery energy. It's more like action. You know, it's like, this is not wrong. This is right. So I am seeing possibly a fire energy coming towards you, but I'm also seeing just things accelerate for you. Let's see your energy, Ace of Swords. Look at this clarity coming in, communication coming in, ideas coming in. You know, this is you clearing out the nonsense this week. You're definitely, this is the week of, especially with the new moon Aries, it's of your script, your new script. I see clearly. Any challenges? 4 swords. All right. The only challenge with you right now is being able to breathe and step back when you need to give yourself space. It can be very overwhelming when you have all this new energy. And it can be very overwhelming if you start realizing what you thought was true isn't. Or you start realizing that, you know, you were making somebody out to be something more than they were. You put somebody on a pedestal. So as reality becomes more clear, we can become more overwhelmed, and we, you know, need to give ourselves space to heal. So the energy around you, you got a King of Pentacles showing up for you, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, somebody with, you know, potential, moolah, status. You have, you know, a very earthy, very grounded, somebody who wants tradition, somebody who wants comfort, somebody who wants, you know, a serious relationship, somebody you may not have seen before, but now you're seeing them for who they are. So there could be somebody that you kind of, you know, skirted past because you were more interested in the bad boy or the bad girl. And all of a sudden you see a King of Pentacles show up, and this is where your life is about to change. Right? And what's their challenge? The Seven of Wands. You are dealing with somebody that has a lot going on. They are responsible for a lot of people. They have a lot of pressure on them. And you could be dealing with somebody that's, you know, stuck in their ways sometimes. So it's hard to change a King of Pentacles. They have a plan. So they're not going to jump into shit. They're not going to, you know, if things seem like fantasy or a dream, they're not going to rush into things. So that's the only challenge here, is they don't like a lot of pressure. You got a Taurus energy. But where are things headed? Nine of Swords. You are leaving this energy of any kind of regret or guilt or any kind of unnecessary anxiety. Things are changing big time for you. This whole reading has already been read. The Moon card, the Nine of Swords. All those things that worried you before, all those things that you were blinded by, all the fogginess, that is clearing out for you. And I'm seeing your life is changing and a new relationship manifesting for you. A new type of relationship manifesting for you, Pisces. Anything else I can get for you? I see the Temperance card. So for you, I'm seeing the most valuable thing is moderation for you. It's allowing things to just play out the way they're supposed to, not rushing into stuff. If old anxieties come up, give yourself a break, step back, see clearly. The relationships that last the longest are the ones that move a little bit slower at first, but with somebody who's consistent. Feels like you got something real coming in. So this is just getting started, the Ace of Wands. All right. So this isn't going to happen overnight. This is something that's getting started now. Your life is shifting, and it looks as though this new direction you're going into is going to bring you more stability and more security. All right, guys, I love you. You got Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn really strong for you here. Pisces, you're in here. You have a Sagittarius in here. And I love you guys. I hope you guys have a great week. Please hype, like, subscribe, join my membership if you want personal questions answered. And thank you, Lori. I love them too. And enjoy the week. And remember that this is the kind of energy this week. So be prepared. And if you don't talk to anybody, this could be what's going on internally. So it just sort of gives you clarity. All right. Thank you. See you later. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. It's spaghetti day.